We'd like to think we base most of our important decisions on solid reasoning and evidence. But if we're honest with ourselves, we'd recognize we base most of them on our emotions, gut feelings, prejudices, and habits. And then we justify our choices after we make them with various reasons. Ideally, those reasons would be based on predictable outcomes for our benefit and the benefit of others. Science is supposed to help us with that. Scientific experiments and studies are supposed to make predictions about what works and what doesn't work, what's real and predictable phenomena and what's not. But who knows if we can definitively prove anything? In fact, the idea of proof may only exist in math, and nothing in science can ever be truly proven. Theories are always subject to revision based on new evidence. But I'm using the colloquial version of the word proof here to just mean strong evidence. When it comes to spiritual belief, the lack of proof or evidence is the first line of argument. There are debates about the proof of God and arguments about the fundamental nature of reality. And yet most of what we believe to be true may be unprovable. So why believe what we can't prove? By the way, I'm here in Cape Town, South Africa, for no strong, logical reason at all. I flew out here on a whim to attend one of Eckhart Tolle's seminars, to see a friend, and for a little bit more adventure before I start working again. But it probably wasn't the smartest decision. It's a lot of money for a vacation like this, with my finances not really being where they should be and my future so uncertain. But I felt like it, and there's no way for me to prove what the outcome will be. One thing that may be certain, though, is jet lag. That's why I got this. It's supposed to help alleviate or eliminate jet lag. I went through a grueling 20 hours of flying to get here, and I only have a few days to adjust to the time difference before I have to go back home. I arrived late last night, and I slept okay. But was it because of this product? And will I have energy today? This is what it's got inside. So it's got a bunch of capsules, fish oil, mellow, which is melatonin, and coffee. And I think the caffeine and the melatonin, that's what really does it to help adjust. Melatonin to help sleep and caffeine to get up. Oh, these sunglasses, or orange tinted glasses for our Rupert Spira fans. These, I don't know what they're for, but I wear them at night. I wore them on the plane at night before going to sleep, maybe to help adjust for nighttime while it's daylight still outside. And that's pretty much it. So let's see what they have to say about it online. Here we go. It's called Fly Kit. It says jet lag is a choice. And let's see what they've got. Guaranteed to prevent jet lag. Now, I'm assuming they have done scientific experiments and have studies to back such claims. Here we go. It says to click here for the science, but it's not clickable. So I don't know. And yet I believe it might help. And I chose to spend $100 to bet on this belief. But don't we make these bets all the time? We bet on what will be optimal for us in terms of diet and exercise. Those are two big ones I can think of in terms of lifestyle choices. And they're important to me. I've been doing the same exercise routine for almost 15 years now. And I've been on similar diets for about that long too. But if I'm honest with myself, I have absolutely no idea if they're working. The evidence for me would be in how I feel, my health, and the physical shape I'm in. And I'm happy with all that, but there's no way to know for sure if my diet and exercise has anything to do with it, or if there are other factors involved, like my genetics and other aspects of my lifestyle. For example, fish oil capsules are included in this fly kit, but I've been taking fish oil for years now. So was I onto something? Does this validate the health benefit? I don't think so. I mean, I can argue that there's scientific proof behind it, There are studies that suggest that the omega-3 fatty acids in it might help reduce the risk of heart disease, high blood pressure, high triglycerides, and arthritis. But they're not conclusive. And there are probably just as many studies suggesting that they don't do anything at all. And even if there's evidence for others, it doesn't mean it'll have the same effect for me. Here's another thing I'll have to get used to besides the time difference. Having to use a key to unlock from the inside. And then again on the outside. I mean, it doesn't seem like auto-locking or having the bolt adjustable on the inside is that much more advanced of a technology or that much more expensive. I don't know, maybe it is. And these doors with the little opening over here, I don't know if humans are supposed to be able to fit through that. I don't want to offend the rest of the world besides the US, but like here, exiting too. I mean, to push the button to get out, again. Another thing I'll have to get used to is driving on the other side of the road. There's supposed to be a hidden gem of a cave somewhere around here. Maybe down here. I mean, this must be really hidden because I don't see anyone else following. Is this it? A little precarious of an edge here. It's so beautiful. I'm okay, thank you. Thank you.
Making me nervous.
It's more nerve-wracking down there. Look at this place. It's beautiful here. I'm gonna keep exploring. This isn't my typical diet, by the way. I've read a lot about the type of diet I follow and the exercise routine I do, and there seems to be good evidence to support them. But I don't really know. I haven't actually scrutinized the studies referenced. I can't even say that I've properly experimented on myself. I haven't isolated all the factors to my health and physical fitness one by one and done a randomized control test on each one. I just take it on faith. I would contend that we base most of our lifestyle choices on things we can't prove. And not just supplements, diets, and exercise. Our career choices, the relationships we enter, our religious and spiritual practices. Most of it, we don't rationally choose based on evidence. We don't think through which choices would be best for us or make the most sense. Most of those choices may be based on previous conditioning and habits, but a lot is also based on our unexamined beliefs and feelings. We may believe things without even knowing the details of how we came to those beliefs and without even being able to explain why we believe them. For example, I believe in the law of attraction as taught by Abraham Hicks. The premise is that we attract what we chronically think about into our lives, that we create our own realities with the thoughts we think. It's a balance of our thoughts, our mindset, the general essence of what we think and believe that influences what happens in our lives. A positive mindset leads to positive outcomes, and a negative mindset leads to negative outcomes. Now, this can be argued to be true without having to invoke a new law of nature. The detrimental effects of chronic negative thinking and worrying can cause stress-induced physical ailments, self-sabotaging behavior, and overall lead to counterproductive actions in life. Those with more positive mindsets may have attitudes more conducive to taking actions that lead to success and more beneficial outcomes. But Abraham's teachings go further than that. They profess an incontrovertible law that matches our positive thoughts with positive outcomes regardless of actions taken. It's less about what you do and more about how you feel. Now, it can mean that your positive thoughts and feelings could inspire you to the right actions, but it could just as easily mean that it could inspire others to help on your behalf, or the alignment of circumstances and events in your favor without your participation. The law could work in ways that we can't fully attribute to things we do or to a causal chain of events. The universe at large could be either coordinating things for you or conspiring against you based on the balance of your thoughts, based on your vibrational point of attraction, as Abraham calls it. Now, what attracted me to the law of attraction teachings is that it can feel very empowering if we believe we can control our thoughts for only positive outcomes. But I don't know if I believe this anymore. I mean, how much of our thinking can we actually control? We can't even predict our next thought. It seems like in most cases, my next thought, being either positive or negative, is outside of my voluntary egoic control. So much of our thinking is based on habit and has been conditioned by experiences seemingly outside of our control. And even if we're really good at positive thinking, as I thought I was, negative things can still happen in our lives. I used to think I could prove the law of attraction in my own life at the very least. I trained myself at thinking optimistically most of the time, and I got really good at it. I was good at seeing mostly the positive aspects in any situation or experiences, and in focusing only on the aspects of my life that made me feel good. And for a long time, I had amazing results. Until I didn't. Especially with my recent layoff and other adversities, it's hard to see the silver lining or how any of my previous thinking could have attracted such things into my experience. If I honestly examine my life, there's evidence both for and against a law of attraction. It seems like it would be really hard to pin down exactly the thought patterns that lead to specific outcomes. It would be computationally irreducible. There are just too many variables to consider, too many factors, too many determining causes. And yet, regardless of the evidence, regardless of if it can be proven or not, I still believe in it. Now, my rationale for it has changed a lot, but it's still a deeply held belief. In Indian religions, there's also the idea of karmic merits and demerits, and their influences across lifetimes. People talk of things meant to be, of fate, of a greater purpose, of soulmates, of universal signs, of God's grace, and of synchronicities. Many of us seem to believe in such things, even if we're not explicitly aware of it, even if we can't rationally justify it. And this may be because such beliefs resonate with a deeper truth, maybe a truth that can't be fully explained. I now think that my belief in what seems like a law of attraction resonates with what idealist philosopher Bernardo Kastrup calls deeper organizing principles in nature. He talks about this when referring to Carl Jung's idea of synchronicities. By the way, the reason I started reading Bernardo's books and learning about idealism, that the nature of reality is mental, is because I was looking for a rationale and scientifically backed support for even the possibility of such a law to exist, meaning a law based on direct mental influences, or at least correlations, not mediated by action. Carl Jung used the word synchronicity to describe meaningful coincidences of inner mental states corresponding to external physical events. In his book, Decoding Jung's Metaphysics, Bernardo writes that Jung's notion of synchronicity transcends the boundaries of psychology and supports the idea of a physical world that, quote, organizes itself also according to archetypally determined relationships of meaning, like dreams do, end quote. Now, we notice regular patterns of specific things happening after other specific things, like one billiard ball colliding with another and causing it to move in a predictable way. We assume a relationship of cause and effect, of one thing being the result of the physical action of another. We assume that what we observe is a causal relationship, but we don't really see this play out. We don't actually see the exact connection of what makes a cause lead to an effect, of what makes one thing seem to depend on another thing happening first. We do notice the results, but we don't see what goes on behind the scenes, the actual process of the results unfolding. As Bernardo writes, what we do observe empirically are the results of the action of an inferred underlying causal principle that, in and of itself, remains invisible to us. We don't see causality. We only see its manifest consequences in nature's behavior. Therefore, the underlying organizing principle is metaphysical instead of physical. It is derived on the basis of induction, the theoretical inference of a general law from repeated instances of conjoint events, which goes beyond empirical observation. In the book, he also expounds how what may really be going on transcends space-time, and that everything that happens may be causally related by associations of meaning, essential similarities between mental and physical states. Bernardo writes that, for Jung, ultimately everything in nature unfolds according to similarity-based associations. Jung explains that synchronicity could be understood as an ordering system by means of which similar things coincide without there being any apparent cause. But as I heard Bernardo comment in an interview, this type of ordering system may not be conducive to scientific observation. With such a universal organizing principle, there's just too much complexity and too many variables to keep track of under controlled laboratory conditions. Explanations of apparent cause and effect may just be approximations and inadequate descriptions of reality. They may all be mere useful fictions of what's really going on. I know I was skeptical about how much control over our thoughts we really have, but I still try to exert the limited control I may have when I can pivot to more positive thinking. Even if it just seems like I'm choosing to pivot, I apparently make the effort. My apparent practice of positive thinking, like everything else I'm apparently choosing to do for my well-being, my diet, exercise routine, spiritual practices, lifestyle choices, it's all based on faith, on what I believe I should be doing. It's what I believe but can't prove, and what I rationalize and give words to after the fact in discussions like this. Like and comment if this resonated with you, and subscribe below to follow me on my journey. See you next time.